What is a common myth about your country that is 100% false but many people still believe in it?
Romania. Many people believe we have vampires, but in my 700 years of living here, I haven't even seen one. I asked my mates back in the castle and they also haven't seen any, and they've been around for longer than I.
Something's wrong here, I can feel it.
Welsh people shag sheep. Temptation is there but the static shock wouldn't be worth it.
Static shock greater than temptation.
Iceland was not named as part of some conspiracy to keep folks away from a good thing. The name comes from the fact that early settlers arrived during summer and then suffered horrible losses of livestock and people once winter hit and icebergs were seen filling the fjords. It was more of a warning than anything, that this place sucked. Greenland on the other hand was probably named as such to make it sound more hospitable.
Parts of Greenland were actually fairly green when it was named in 1000 AD, at least in the southwestern corner where Eric the Red landed, thanks to the Gulf Stream taking a slightly different route back then.
Finland doesn't exist.
Saw some devs stream a strategy game that dynamically generated country names as they formed, were conquered. The Finnish viewerships were not happy that Finland became Swedish Russia.
People generally assume that when you're from Belgium, you are French-speaking. While a big part of the country is francophone, the majority population is Flemish, Dutch-speaking. I blame this and mostly three factors. People mainly visiting Brussels, which is bilingual, but has a francophone majority. Americans mostly having been stationed in the French-speaking part in World War II. Hercule Poirot.
That it is always hot in Australia. It's not.
It goes from hot to cold. There is no other temperature except for a few days of the year.
That crumpets and tea makes you posh. I can get 9 crumpets for a quid from me local Asda, far from posh.
That the only thing we care about is rugby and we all live in hobbit holes. I, for one, am absolutely terrified of rugby but I'm Kiwi as bro. Edit, nearly 5k upvotes? How?
But if you could choose, wouldn't you want to live in a hobbit hole?
Well, that does sound pretty cool.
A lot of people confuse different European countries. For Switzerland, you're often Swedish. I'd imagine it's similar for Belgium, Belarus, Slovakia, Slovenia.
I'm from Serbia and people used to try and convince me it was a part of Russia. That's Siberia.
That sheep roam our highways, New Zealander here.
To be fair, I've had to stop for sheep on the highway just out of Whanganui.
That leprechauns are real. Oh, and we are a nation of alcoholics. This actually may be true.
PFFT. Leprechauns. Ever seen one? No. But fairies, I don't believe in them but they're there.
That the Irish are the biggest drunks in the world, completely false and mean as we're only the second biggest drinker in the world but we hope to get first place next year.
IIRC. The nation with the highest alcohol consumption per capita is South Korea. So the Koreans are the world's drunks. Edit, partially correct. Koreans drink more shots of liquor than anyone else. In terms of pure ethanol from all sources consumed per capita, Moldova wins with 15.2 liters per capita per year. Edit 2, figures. My highest rated comment of all time is about who's the drunkest.
All of our country is just WD and red districts. Yes, we have these things, but the Netherlands has lots of culture.
If someone says, "Isn't Ireland part of the UK though?" one more time.
This even happens to well-educated continental Europeans. I'm Dutch, but I had to explain to a room full of university-educated colleagues that yes, sales in Ireland had to be mentioned separately from the ones in the UK as it was a incorrect and b, people would take umbrage.
Mexico is a desert.
I hear it's also entirely in sepia tone.
The Yucatan is fully rainforest. It's where jaguars come from.
Dracula is often depicted as living in Transylvania. While he was imprisoned there for a while, he was actually the ruler of Wallachia, another historic Romanian province that neighbors Transylvania to the south. As for the rumor that we are vampires, I neither confirm nor deny this statement. Edit, thanks for the awards, mortals. I mean friends.
Castlevania fans know all about this. He also had a teleporting castle.
Note to self: wear a scarf when visiting Romania. Edit. I'm gonna bring a poo ton of garlic too just to be safe. Edit 2. Don't threaten me with a good time. You, me Klaus Christian. Edit 3. Forget the garlic apparently.
That we still live in igloos.
Wait, you mean the PM doesn't live in the national igloo? next you'll tell me you don't have a maple syrup tap in the kitchen.
Everyone plays soccer and knows how to dance samba. There are monkeys in the streets. The capital is Rio de Janeiro.
I remember when I went to Peru and told people I was from Brazil and people assumed I lived in the jungle and walked around nude and stuff. In Peru
I mean, wasn't the capital Rio de Janeiro until the 60s? It's currently Brasilia, for those too lazy to look it up. We don't have humor and live to work.
Also, our trains are always on time. As someone who often relies on the Deutsche Bahn to get around, that seems like a cruel joke.
I'm bewildered that the myth about our train's punctuality is still a thing.
Germany or Japan?
Germany.
That everyone still harbors resentment against Americans. Or the French. Or the Japanese. Or, you get the point. I've actually never met anyone here who held such grudges. It's pretty inspiring, actually. Probably I can learn a lot from that.
Vietnam?
Yup. We get regular questions from various nationalities on our sub, concerned before traveling here, back when travel was a thing, anyway.
Oh, so much. According to popular opinion, I should be a WD smoking, clog wearing tulip farmer living in a windmill. Can you guess where I am from yet? Winking face.
I know. You're from that one place, you know, the one where everyone ice skates to work.
God, that news item was so hilarious.
Also, you're a cheese-loving, greedy, bad beer-drinking Protestant.
That we say, shrimp on the Barbie, it was an ad campaign to appeal to Americans. It was the most successful tourism campaign still to this day, but literally no one in Australia says that.
And no one in Australia drinks Foster's.
I recently watched season 1 of Frayed. Do people actually say, suck poo?
Yeah, if something bad happens to someone who deserved it, they can suck poo.
That Brazil is a huge tropical jungle in which people speak Spanish. Brazil actually has several major cities and different environments. São Paulo, for instance, is a huge sprawling metropolis with as many inhabitants as New York and Los Angeles combined. In some southern areas of the country it actually snows. And we were a Portuguese colony, so we speak Portuguese.
Most people don't realize how effing massive Brazil is. Its northernmost point is closer to Canada than to its southernmost point.
Everyone drinks maple syrup, mousse everywhere, and saying sorry all the time.
Yeah, mousse are actually really uncommon. Edit, I've been living in Canada for 19 years now, and I have yet to see one. Edit 2, I did get in far off nature many times and never saw one there too. Edit 3, the plural of moose is moose, stop replying meese. The word moose is from Algonquin and it didn't adopt the English conventions on plural words.
All Germans have some secret knowledge of the Second World War II they would love to share. I always found that interesting when I lived in London, and especially English people 40+ would ask me of some first-hand experience of the war. Keep in mind that not even my parents were born at that time. Fact, we know the same as you do from history classes, etc.
No need to tell the Allies about our secret moon bases.
I guess we know more than average since it's a major part in education, while in other countries it's just a chapter. However, I agree, we don't know more than you can read in any history book, Wikipedia article. Edition. I don't want to denounce any other country's education system. I was particularly focused on that from my first-hand experience. Beginning from the 7/8 year to the 13 year, you constantly have had the Third Reich somewhere in your lessons, might it be politics, history, always, art or music, and how it was used to convince the population. I don't know if that's with other countries like this as well, might be, especially for involved countries. I just assumed it's not that excessive. Also, a lot of comments verify my assumption.
Nigeria. That everyone here is into scamming people, LMAO.
As a Nigerian, I mean, there is a prevalence of internet scams compared to most other countries. The prince is always related to someone. A Nigerian king's horny. Edit. Reddit doesn't make sense. My most upvoted comment is about the sexual activeness of a royal. That we roam around with wild animals like lions and rhinos, have no cities and thus live in huts, and that we're all poor and malnourished.
Yeah, I've heard Yorkshire's not quite as bad as people make out.
With news items or things on Reddit, country related pretty much anywhere in the world is named by the name of the country, but when it's an African country, then it's Africa. Pisses me off.
not exactly myth but decent amount of PPL still think that Czechoslovakia still exists. We split apart in 1993. We are Czech Republic, not Czechoslovakia anymore. Edit. To make it clear, Czech Republic, shortcut Czechia, and Slovakia are two different countries. EDIT2. FYI, Slovakia and Slovenia are also two different countries. They are not even neighboring countries. EDIT3. Wow, this grew really big. Thank you all for your comments and for those awards. Sorry that I am not commenting anymore, but I can't keep with this pace.
I had a friend who used to answer to people asking where he is from. I come from a country that no longer exists.
Neighbor from South here. In one online meeting, a colleague from US referred to our team as the team from Bratislavia.
People think British people are either stiff upper lip public schoolboys or cockney bricklayers, football hooligans. There's a whole world of people in between. Some of us don't even like football. One of my friends doesn't even drink tea. Not sure why she's my friend, to be honest.
We also have a very wide range of accents. It's not just posh Londoner or cockney Londoner.
Greater than one of my friends doesn't even drink tea. Wait, what? That's possible? It isn't a crime?
I had to tell my little cousins in the UK that no, unfortunately we don't ride kangaroos to school and work every day.
No one thinks Aussies work every day.
You should move to Australia. I hear they do that there.
That it's socially acceptable to call people CS. You'll get away with it with your mates, but you'll probably get your head stomped if you called the wrong person it in public. Also, it's possible to be arrested for using it in public in certain circumstances.
Get a load of this sea.
Kenyans are all long-distance runners, live in huts, speak no English, and have pet wild animals. Ugh. So here goes, the long-distance guys are mainly from one community, tribe called the Kalenjin, that's about 15% of the population. Next, Kenya is still a developing nation with a lot of poverty, but there's a lot of modern architecture. Next, the country is rated 18 out of 100 on the English Proficiency Index. And lastly, you can apply for a special, and rarely granted, permit for your bobcat named Babu, but keeping wildlife is not at all common. And the Kenya Wildlife Service will conduct regular visits to ensure Babu isn't being kept in Auschwitz-like conditions.
We're all sad, there's no sun, there's always snow.
Greater than we're all sad, there's no sun. Your typical day in St. Petersburg.
Russia?
Russia.
French here. That we don't shower. We do, guys. We're not in the 1700s anymore. Also that French women don't shave. I mean, there are some that don't, but this has more to do with their personal choices and a general trend of having more and more women that don't shave around the world than their Frenchness. We do eat frogs and snails though. Not all of USA, eh?
When I started dating my now wife, who is from Oklahoma, she informed me that her friends and family were convinced that Canadians didn't have ice or toilet paper. They wanted her to ask me about it, apparently because they were confused by that. I had never laughed so hard. I mean, it's Canada, we're ice 70% of the year basically.
Not having toilet paper is already weird, but not having ice is just absurd. Like, what, does water at low temperatures just get arbitrarily cold instead of freezing within Canada's borders?
It always comes back to Oklahoma's somehow law.
I'm American, but I lived in Egypt for a while. It's incredible that more than one American who wasn't a child asked me if I lived in a pyramid.
Do many people walk around wrapped in bandages, or just a few?
That Africa is a country.
Woo. Singaporean here. 1. No, we're not part of China. We're not even in the same region. Yes, the population is 60% ethnically Chinese, but that doesn't make us part of China any more than it makes the USA part of Britain. As a matter of fact, there's a problem of racism against mainlander Chinese, since locals tend not to see them as true Singaporeans. This is exacerbated by the fact that lots of mainlander Chinese are pretty pro-China, human rights violations and all, while the local Chinese don't like China and the CCP very much. We're closer culturally to Taiwan. 2. It is not illegal to be naked inside your own home. You can be starkers while bathing or effing if you like. You just cannot use "I am in my own home" as a defense against streaking or showing everyone your rude bits. 90% of the population live in government apartments, and we don't need pervs flashing their dongs through their windows. Incidentally, this law came about because pervs were flashing their dongs through their windows. Singapore used to have a big flasher problem back in the 80s, times were weird. 3. It is not illegal to chew gum, only to import, sell it or bring it onto the trains. This is because DK heads used to literally gum up the train doors and make everyone late for work. The government put up with it for a few months and then said F it, no more gum for everyone, this is why we can't have nice things. 4. The government doesn't fine people for every little offense anymore. They used to, but enforcement has become lenient in the last 2 decades. Sadly, this means there's a ton of litter where the streets used to be pristine. Still, you might not want to litter or spit right in front of a police officer.
Greater than incidentally, this law came about because pervs were flashing their dongs through their windows.
I was in Singapore in the mid-80s and I was astonished by how clean the streets were. When I was there in the early 2010s, I was astonished to see how much rubbish there was. It was still a lot cleaner than other countries I have visited, but it was definitely a noticeable change.
There are more than 2 accents in the UK. It's not just Cockney and the Queen's English.
We are all rudes if you don't speak French, we don't shower, shave, we all like wine, cheese, baguette, and France can be summarized as Paris.
Genuine conversation I had in a bar with a Frenchman in Cantal. Do you know who we French hate the most? Here we go, us English. None. Germans? None. Americans? None. I give up. Parisians. To somewhat counter your point, we were drinking wine in a village next to a shop that only made baguettes. Update, thanks for the awards everyone, y'all are a funny bunch. Also found out I'm not only Scottish but also apparently Irish too. Yay. We're all ginger alcoholics who hate the English and run amongst the hills in our skirts, screaming, freedom.
Correct. You also get blonde and brown-haired Scots.
I would pay a lot of money just to see this.
How much we talking? Winking face.
That we all knew Steve Irwin. Like sure thing we've all shared many a bushchook tinnies with old mate Steve-O down the local.
I was traveling in Italy, a cop said to me, "Oh, Australian, my cousin Luigi lives in Melbourne, you know him?" LMAO.
Australian here. Glad you asked. Everyone thinks it's as dangerous as that spiders, drop bears, snakes, feral cats and dogs will rip your effing heart out every time you step out the door. The truth is that unless you act like a halfwit, poke said snake, spider with your finger, then you'll be fine. Battle echidna, dervish spiders, saltwater crocodiles and drop bears don't live in suburbia. You need to go into the bush to even see a lizard, which usually promptly f's off the moment a stone-footed Oompa Loompa waddles past. Edit, people save your money. Enjoy the show. But
Many years ago, I was in Australia and with some friends of a friend driving around near Albury. At some point I mentioned that I wanted to see a kangaroo. The driver didn't say a word, but started looking around the side of the road. All of the sudden, he slammed on the brakes, pulled over and got out of the car. I followed out. On the side of the road was a dead kangaroo, hit by a car. He then pointed to it, looked at me and said, "There, you saw one, can we go to the bar now?"
Have you seen a wombat with a stubby in its mouth? If not, you haven't seen Oz, now have ya, mate?
Another myth is that we lost the Emu War. We didn't just lose. We got effing demolished.
Everyone in Scotland is ginger and wears a kilt. Thanks for 10k upvotes, most I've got on a post.
Kilts are bloody expensive. No wonder most Scots that do wear them only wear them for formal occasions, except for the tour guides and the occasional lost Highlander.
Indians don't speak English. I was asked once how I'm so good at English. Like we are literally the second largest English-speaking country.
Right? In more fluent in English than my first language, and people are very surprised when I tell them I'm from India.
That we are all tech scammers and like eating cow dung. Guess which country?
India?
Ding ding ding. Somehow some people think that Brazilians speak Spanish and only like soccer and carnival. The soccer and carnival thing is mostly true, but Spanish. Really?
Most people can't tell Portuguese and Spanish apart, so there's that. Pair that up with having only vague idea on what European country invaded what plot of land back in the day and you got a reason for the confusion. I've never seen a mime in Paris. Edit, to all the people who say they've seen a mime in Montmartre or Champ de Mars or Champs-Élysées that one time they were in Paris, yes, if you go to the most touristic place in the city, obviously you might see some of them trying to rip off tourists. What I meant is that when you actually live there, they aren't a normal thing to come across.
Did you check behind the invisible wall?
I know, right? I remember when I was a kid I wondered who these weirdly dressed men that you'd see in cartoons, movies when the characters were in Paris were.
I guess it might come from Mime Marceau, who's pretty much the only famous mime and is French, so people associate the two, but it's honestly the most inaccurate cliché about France, and there is a lot of them.
That all guns are banned here in the UK. You can actually own a surprising range of firearms and shotguns, it is just handguns that are subject to a tight set of restrictions. This was due to public demand after a horrendous mass shooting, Lincoln the 90s, where a lunatic killed 15 toddlers.
We aren't all overweight people wearing Old Navy American flag t-shirts and khaki shorts. Only, like, 60% of us. Edit, this is kind of a joke. I don't know what the real percentage is. Though come to think of it, there are people in my family, who I love, that rock this exact look. Hell, I haven't owned a flag t-shirt, but I'm a bit overweight and I think I still have a pair of khaki cargo shorts at the bottom of some drawer somewhere. So, never mind. I don't take it back.
Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.